Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is second episode, another episode of what we like to call Musings with MGL. Okay, that's short for Minnesota Gun Lawyer. That's me, Jeff Young, bringing you another video here today on another day of quarantine. We're all stuck inside. So as I said last time, I'm just kind of figuring why not make some videos, send some things out to people, answer a few questions, kind of muse about things that are going on in the world today. So this is going to be another episode of Musings with MGL. For those of you who watched my first video, I appreciate it. It did get a lot of views and a lot of likes, no dislikes, thankfully. Also, so if you do like it and you want to see more content, go ahead and click on the like button below this video and go ahead and subscribe if you want. I'll be posting it on various sites, but the best way to make sure that you get notice when I do new ones of these is to go ahead and subscribe on the subscribe button, and then there's a little bell over here that you can click on the bell, and that gives you your notification settings, so then you can set me down for priority notifications. So if you want to listen to more of what I have to say, that's the easiest way to do it. So go ahead and please give a like, a share, a comment, subscribe, click the notifications. That really help out my channel. I'd appreciate it. So what are we going to talk about there today? So we're still under quarantine in America. I know it's not officially quarantine, but I'm going to call it that by the way that they're forcing us to do all these things that we don't want to do. And what I want to kind of talk about today is some weird thing that's going on during the quarantine. Those of us in the gun community and in the conservative community know what's been going on. I've been getting a lot of questions about it, a lot of people talking about it. And what I want to kind of talk about is this last minute panic buying of firearms and ammunition. And one thing I want to point out that I think is important to note here, as I talked about it last time, is most of the panic buying are not coming from your Second Amendment people. People like myself and a lot of people who watch this channel and people who know me are all generally pro Second Amendment people. And we aren't panic buying because we already have the stuff. We already have firearms. We always have ammunitions. What you see going on out there, ironically, is a bunch of people who were probably, before this coronavirus, not pro-Second Amendment people. They may have even been anti-Second Amendment people and not liked guns at all. And what they're finding is that everything they thought about firearms was wrong, because they were all under the impression that anybody can just go out and buy a firearm whenever they want to, or anybody can just order them online and have them shipped to their house whenever they want to. And what these people are finding out is that's not how it works in America. What we have been saying in the gun community for the longest time now is it is not that easy to buy a firearm. It's not as easy as the people on the left or the anti-gunners will have you believe. You can't just go to a gun shop and say, give me a gun, and walk out with a gun. It's not possible. Here in Florida, you have to have a concealed carry permit in order to go into a gun shop and walk out that day with a firearm. Otherwise, you have to wait 3 days, and that's just in Florida. California, I believe it's a 10-day wait. So you're hearing all these stories from gun shops who are basically kind of laughing their butts off, as am I, of all these people that are panicked trying to buy a firearm, and they're getting angry and frustrated that they can't just walk out with one. The same people who just 2 weeks ago, prior to this virus, would have considered those to be common sense gun reforms or gun laws. No, you don't need to have a gun. You should wait 3 days. You should wait 10 days. Well, now all these people are walking into a store and saying, I want to buy a gun, and the gun shop's telling them, no, you got to come back in 10 days because there's a waiting period, and they're getting angry. There's stories of people getting violent and angry in the shops because they can't just walk out with a gun. Because it's funny, it's taken the coronavirus, or the Chinese virus, whatever you want to call it. It's taken this virus to show people that the Second Amendment is not about hunting, right? That's what we always hear. Oh, it's about hunting. You don't need this many rounds to hunt, or you don't need this firearm to hunt. It's always about hunting. We don't want to take your shotguns away. I mean, Joe Biden was just recently saying that a couple weeks ago before they shut everything down. And now all of a sudden these people are realizing, hey, well, maybe I want a firearm for something other than hunting. Maybe I want a firearm to protect myself when the crap hits the fan, as we like to say in the prepper / gun community. They're realizing that they want a firearm to protect themselves and their family, something that we've been saying for years is one of the main purposes for having a firearm. They also might want one because I think they're starting to get a little scared, like some of us have talked about in the past as well, about government overreach. I mean, the government right now is really treading the line between what people are going to accept as far as orders from the government. I mean, they're not calling it officially martial law, but it's about as damn close to martial law as you could get. And yet, a lot of people are okay with it, and I think they might be okay with it for a couple of weeks, but eventually people are not going to be okay with it, and the government is going to do what government generally tends to do and overreach and really start doing things like declaring martial law, suspending constitutional rights. There's already talk about that. It's not conspiracy talk out there. There's reputable news sites, not generally the fake news sites, but your reputable news sites will tell you that there's reports out there about these kind of things coming down. You can just look every day at what the press conferences are saying. I heard Governor Cuomo up in New York today during his press conference talk about how he wants to get the private companies to make more masks and more respirators and stuff, and he literally said, yeah, it's not really socialism. It's not the government taking over an industry. It's just us ordering to do it. But so what? I mean, that's literally what he said. He's like, so what? What's wrong with that? This is a national emergency, so we should be able to order private companies to make a product that they don't want to make. So you're seeing a lot of these politicians come really close to the line. And so when that gets there, the main reason, as we all know, for the Second Amendment is to protect yourself from a tyrannical government, from a far-reaching government who's going to take away your rights at their earliest convenience, which a lot of people say we're getting really close to right now. So it's just quite ironic that people who just 2 weeks ago would have been against all these firearms, would have thought we were crazy for wanting firearms for these very reasons, are now running into those reasons themselves, and they're getting angry that they can't buy these firearms. So I find that quite ironic and quite hypocritical as well. I was just in a gun shop on Friday, and an individual came in while I was there wanting to buy a firearm, but he was from out of state. He's not in, we're in Florida. I make no secret about that. We're in Florida, and he had a driver's license from another state. Now, he currently lives here now, and there's all kind of rules about do you own property or not, but the main way to do it is to have a driver's license to come in and buy a gun. So the guy was coming in from like an Ohio driver's license and couldn't buy a gun. And the shop had to tell him, look, you can't buy one because the federal law says you can't buy a gun across state lines like that. You have to be a resident of the state that you're in. And so they told him the easiest thing to do was, since you live here, to go to the DMV and get a Florida driver's license. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Right now in Florida and in a lot of states, most states across the country right now probably, the DMVs are closed. You can't go to the DMV and you can't pick up a driver's license. You can't renew your driver's license. You can't trade in a driver's license from this another state and get a new one. So here this guy is. He's probably been living in Florida for 6 months. That's if he's telling the truth, but let's say hypothetically he is. And he was procrastinating, not wanting to get his Florida driver's license, and now he comes in and wants to buy a gun. He can't buy one because he doesn't have the right driver's license and the right ID to do it. Which, by the way, they'll try and tell you, the anti-gunners, that you can just go across state lines and buy a gun. We can have all the laws we want in Illinois and Chicago, but people are just going to drive to the next state over and come back with firearms. Well, it doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. The only way to do that is illegally, and the criminals aren't going to follow those laws anyway. So I just kind of find it funny, and again, somewhat hypocritical of all these people now going out and panic buying. I mean, there was a guy in California that just posted a video a couple days ago from his gun shop that it's gone. His gun shop's gone. Not gone, but I mean, the inventory's gone. All of his firearms have been sold. All his ammunition has been sold, and people were buying guns, and they had to wait 10 days to get their guns, and he said they were getting angry, and he was pointing out the fact that, well, wait a minute, we're in California. You guys passed and probably voted for these freaking laws that said you got to wait 10 days to get your gun, and now you're pissed off at me, the gun shop owner, because I'm making you wait 10 days to get your gun, because people, again, are finding out that it's not as easy to buy a gun as you thought it was. And the same people who supported these common sense gun laws a couple weeks ago are now angry that they have to wait. They have to wait for a background check. The other issue is going to be with a lot of these states shutting down non-essential shops and businesses, and gun shops are probably going to be included in those. I believe just in Ohio when they did that, they specifically listed gun shops as non-essential shops. So once they shut down the non-essential shops, you're not even going to be able to buy a gun from the gun shop or a gun store, even if you have a concealed carry permit. So there's been a lot of people out there that were waiting till the last minute. There's people that I know that qualify for a concealed carry permit, should have gotten one a long time ago, should have gotten a gun a long time ago, and now all of a sudden they're freaking out because they don't have a gun to protect themselves and their family during this crazy time, and they're finding out that they can't get one, and now all of a sudden they're Second Amendment supporters and constitutional supporters when it finally affects them, and they can't buy their firearms. So maybe that's one of the good things that will come out of this virus. Who knows? You'll have new gun owners, you'll have new Second Amendment supporters, and maybe there won't be such a push to further restrict it from where it is now. I find that highly doubtful. My guess is once the situation calms down and people go back to normal, they'll go right back to something just popped up on my screen. They'll go right back to being anti-gun and thinking we should have more restrictions, and then the rest of us are just going to roll our eyes and go, yeah, okay, whatever. This is what we've been telling you. So keep your eye out for these type of things. All the gun shops are honest. They're not going to break the rules for people. One of the gun shop owners literally said, somebody asked him, well, how much extra money do I have to give you to walk out of here with my gun today? Because people are that desperate and that crazy, and they just think that, you know, gun owners and gun dealers are shady people, and they're willing to just break the law just because, to make a buck, and they don't care about it. They're willing to put their lives and their license on the line just because you, Mr. I waited till the last minute idiot, wants to buy a gun all of a sudden when 2 weeks ago you probably didn't think I was even allowed to have one. So there's a funny meme that I posted yesterday on Facebook where, you know, 2 weeks ago you were telling me I shouldn't have my AR-15, and now that there's a virus coming, you're asking me if you can have one of my guns, and the response is no, I don't think I'll let you do that. So look, you had plenty of time. You saw this coming, and you should have supported the Second Amendment and exercised your Second Amendment rights a long time ago. And so maybe you guys will keep that in mind. If any of the first-time gun owners are out there listening to this, if any of the new panic buyers are listening to this and they're saying, oh yeah, I'm that guy, look, next time one of these things comes up on the ballot, don't vote for it. Next time you got a chance to vote for a pro-Second Amendment politician, vote for it, because this is going to happen to all of us. These are the type of things that everybody's going to face, and everybody can say they don't want a gun until the shit hits the fan, forgive my language, and then all of a sudden they want a gun and they can't get one, and then they always look to us, the people who they know have them, if they can borrow one from us, or they look to see if they can just go to a shop and pay whatever amount of money is necessary to buy a gun. And then you're going to find that the shop owners aren't going to do that because they're honest people, and then they follow the law despite what people on the certain side of the aisle will say about us people. So that's just my musing for today. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there. I'm going to be probably cranking these videos out quite a bit, at least once a day, maybe more, because every day there's something new that's popping up. There's another constitutional infringement that I think is going on out there. I think the breaking point on this is going to come in the next couple weeks. You're going to see people just starting to rebel and not getting up for that. For example, you look at Florida. You know, they already shut down the beaches. They've shut down a lot of the social things we like to do. Some of the counties now are starting to shut down boat ramps because people were like, well, if I can't go to the beach, I'll go on my boat. And they just pull their boats up to the sandbars, and they all sit next to their boats on the sandbars. Well, it creates the same problem that you have at the beach. So now a lot of the counties are starting to shut down the beaches. When you get to that level where you're pretty much shutting down everything and telling people they can't leave their house, they might be willing to put up with that for a few weeks, but they're not going to put up with it indefinitely for several months. But that's going to be a topic maybe for my next video or for another day. Today's topic is, look, I'm sorry. I hope everybody who wants to get a gun can get one. I have a little bit of concern, and I know most gun owners and most gun shops do, of people who don't know anything about firearms. They haven't gone through the training. They haven't gotten their certificate. They've never held one in their life. And now all of a sudden they just want to go to the gun shop and buy one and buy all the ammo and keep it in their house when they don't even know how the damn thing works. So part of it is definitely going to be scary. I mean, I don't begrudge the gun shops from, you know, selling their guns and keeping their profits coming in and keeping their family alive, because that's a good thing today. A lot of people aren't working and don't have an income coming in, so I don't begrudge them from doing that. But part of me gets a little worried that you have all these first-time newbies going out there who, again, like I said 2 weeks ago, didn't even want firearms to be legal, and now all of a sudden they want to get one. They don't know how to use it. They've never had one before. They don't know how to store it. They probably don't have the proper safe for their house. If they have minor children, they're just freaking out and wanting to buy a gun, so that could be disturbing as well. So, you know, one good thing is, again, I hope people recognize what the Second Amendment is for. I hope we've converted a whole bunch of new people into our cause. But the other thing that we gun owners always tell people to do is if you're going to exercise your right, you need to exercise it responsibly. You need to get the training. You need to have the proper equipment around your house, you need to know what you're doing with that firearm. Don't just buy one and walk around. And as a gun lawyer, you also need to know the laws about those firearms. You can't just buy a firearm and just carry it around with you everywhere you go if you don't have a concealed carry permit just because you think that you can. So a lot of these people are going to, maybe go out there and not know what they're doing, and I definitely have a concern for that. But look, more people who become firearm owners and become firearm advocates, the better. So hopefully that's maybe one silver lining that comes out of this very, very dark cloud that we got going on here, is that we might get a bunch of new converts to the cause. Hopefully that's true. Hopefully everybody stays safe. But in the meantime, we'll see how it goes. But if you're panic buying and you got to wait your 3 days or you got to wait your 10 days, guess what? Told you so. We've been telling you that for years. And sometimes karma comes around and it bites you in the ass. So that's my musings for today. Hypocritical, last-minute panic buying gun people. Let me know in the comments if you've seen anything like that or what you think about that. If I'm way off base and maybe there aren't panic buyers out there. I know that there are because I've been to the local gun shops and I've got my feelers out there, obviously. So I know that there are, but just in case, if you think I'm crazy and it's not going on, go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think about the situation. And again, subscribe, click the notifications, like and share, and comment on my post if you want to keep seeing more of these. Thank you for coming to another episode of Musings with MGL, and I will see you next time. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay open if you can, if you run a business, and always carry on.